Welcome back to the Omega Dudes, everyone. Episode number 4. We have a ton of interesting stuff to run through. North Korean hackers attacking COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers, pro gamers quitting due to injuries, robot lawnmowers, and even some pretty sweet gun stuff. Be a dude, hit that subscribe button, mollywop the like button. Get ready for the Omega Dudes.
You know, the thing about Thanksgiving is you've got all these people who maybe don't normally like live together or spend very much time together, moms and dads and aunts and uncles and kids and all this stuff, and everybody's living their own lives, and you get together for Thanksgiving and maybe you don't live in the same place, maybe you lead completely different lives, and that always makes for interesting table talk or dinner table conversation at Thanksgiving. And someone like me who has just this innate ability to stick his foot in his mouth and chew vigorously on it, despite the beautiful spread, the delicious spread that lays before him. I find myself quite often in very cringy moments. You know, what's cringe? Cringe. A lot of people don't realize what cringe really is. What it is it's that story that keeps you up at night. What do I mean? I mean, when you lay in bed at night and you're kind of going over the events of the day or thinking about your life or where you're at, and you think of this one thing you said or this thing that happened to you, and it's just like
or when you're in the shower a few years later and your heart skips a beat because you remember that you did or said that, that's cringe.
That is quality cringe. So, and I just happen to be very good at developing my own quality cringe. And I have a recent one just this last Thanksgiving with my in-laws. We were in another state visiting my in-laws. We were all sitting around. It was a great week. We rented a cabin in the middle of nowhere with them, and it was a lot of fun. It was good. It was a lot better than most people would imagine.
Sounds like a good
scenario
time.
Like that. It was a good time.
Right.
So the last day we were there, let's see. So my mother-in-law is very crafty. She loves to paint. She likes to do all this stuff. One of the things that she wanted us to do was fun craft activities. Aww. And so she got these like balsa wood ornaments that, you know, probably from like Hobby Lobby or something. And it's just like an ornament, two-dimensional, you know, made out of balsa wood or whatever. And it's already got stenciled on it a bulb with like a snowflake on it or polka dots or something like that. And then you paint in
like an ornament coloring book. Okay.
Yeah, but it was
colored by numbers.
Sure. So we're all exactly. So we're all coloring these ornaments, painting these ornaments, and it was fun, just like fun little activity we did for a couple hours. So I'm painting mine, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a really pretty color, light blue." And so I colored in the little polka dots on the bulb, light blue, and then I was like, but I don't know what goes with light blue now. So in between the polka dots, the background, I painted it purple, and it ended up looking like Barney the freaking dinosaur. Right? It's like, this doesn't look like Christmas. This doesn't look good. It was like, nah, and just toss it aside. So fast forward to the other day when we were heading home, and we're packing, and my wife says, "Hey, Parrish, do you want your ornament that you painted?" And I'm just like, no, that was strictly an activity. The thing's ugly. I don't like it.
I don't need that memory.
Yeah, exactly. As we're packing or whatever. And I was just like, I know it's just more junk that we don't need. Right. So that's it. About 10, 15 minutes later, I come into the kitchen and I see a box with a bunch of our stuff in it, you know, the gifts and some books and stuff like that we had acquired there. And laying on top is that ornament, the purple with the light blue polka dots.
The Barney ornament.
Yeah, the Barney ornament. And I picked it up and looked at it, and I'm like, you know, it was in with the stuff that we were supposed to be packing. And I'm like, oh my, you know, I looked at it and I was like, dude, and I told my wife, I'm like, this actually looks worse now that it's dry. I was like, I didn't even get into any of the lines or any of that stuff. It's like, this is freaking terrible. Why are you trying to keep this? Let's just throw it away. And they were like, she and her grandmother were right there, and they were both like, no, it looks good. I like it. And her grandmother turned to me and she was like, well, if you don't like it. And then my wife is behind her and she's like, and I'm like, what? I don't get. And I'm like, what? It's just a stupid. And I look on the back of it and it says, to my wife, love, Mama, 2020. And I was like, why would she paint that on the back of my ornament? And I'm like, Autumn, let's just throw it away. And she's like, no, Parrish, I want to keep it. Shut up. And I was like, oh my gosh, her grandmother painted this ornament for her. She just happened to pick the colors the same colors that I picked for mine, but this is hers. And
it was even worse than the one that you had made. So
and she's given her every single year of her life. Every Christmas, she gives her an ornament.
That's bad.
And that was her ornament this year.
Oh, that is bad.
There's no coming back from that.
I thought to go outside, and so I was like, you know what, Autumn, just bring me stuff. I'm just gonna pack the car.
Yeah, I'm just gonna disappear for a while.
I brought this up earlier today when we were in the car driving, running some errands, and I was like, and we hadn't talked about it after that period. And I was like, you know, thing about that ornament. And she immediately cut me off. She's like, you are such an idiot. I can't believe you freaking did that. Like, that's going to make, I mean, that's what I'm going to.
That's going to stick with you. Yeah. Bro. For the rest of your life. Yep. It'll probably.
Now, I'm going to be laying in bed one night and just be like, oh God, I can't believe I did that. That, dear listeners and watchers, is Cringe. If you have a great Cringe Thanksgiving story from this year or years past, please comment on it. We want to hear your stories. Like and subscribe. And
throw those comments down there. We'll respond to all of them. We might even talk about them on the show if they're good enough. So throw them down in the comment section. Let's hear them. Everybody's got to have some pretty bad stories from family Thanksgiving. I mean, it's family after all. It can be a little bit weird.
I thought this was going to go when you started off. It's like, well, yeah, it's got this, cut out of like an ornament on a piece of balsa wood. Well, I painted all the little balls blue, and I'm like, oh God, here we go, blue balls. We're talking about blue balls at Thanksgiving with the family. God, you are an idiot, Parrish.
No, that wouldn't bother my in-laws. We went on a cruise with my in-laws one time, and my father-in-law, as we're going into, because they got a cabin right next to ours on the cruise ship, and the last thing he said before we stepped into our cabins and took our luggage in was like, hey guys, this week, if the boats are rocking,
oh God,
don't come knocking. So that wouldn't have bothered him.
On that very fine note, thinking of Parrish's in-laws rocking a cruise ship, let's get into a little bit of weekly news. How about that? You guys ready for some news? So,
okay.
As I mentioned before, North Korean hackers are apparently targeting COVID vaccine manufacturers, not just in the US, not just in the UK, but also in South Korea. So apparently, since North Korea has isolated themselves from the rest of the world, they probably have a little bit of a COVID problem as well, because you got people sneaking in and out or even working or maybe even being sent to spy. So apparently they've been trying to use phishing emails, sometimes even posing as job offers to employees so that they can get, backdoor access into their systems, which just goes to show that even though North Korea is isolated from the rest of the world, they still prefer the backdoor.
That's the takeaway.
I worked hard on that one. Thank you for laughing. But yeah, I think it's crazy that the North Koreans I don't think it's crazy. It's not really surprising, but that they're hacking into vaccine manufacturers to, try and get. I'm assuming try and get formulas so that they can do it themselves because nobody's sharing with them, because they're kind of mean, or just trying to thwart their progress as some wicked Austin Powers-esque form of world annihilation. I don't know which, but yeah.
This is China's JV team trying to do things.
I just had a string of B movies flash through my head. You guys ever seen The Interview? Seth Rogen.
Oh, yeah.
A room full of hackers sitting in there singing Katy Perry Firework the whole time.
While they're trying to break into...
But they're just like...
Kim Jong back there.
Yeah, they're all sitting there singing to themselves, I came in like a wrecking ball.
Hey, I heard an interesting story about that the other day, actually. Okay. I heard that in the Pacific Theater, that there were, what was it? The American soldiers, this is just real quick, American soldiers had like code words and phrases that they used to identify each other when they were like moving through the islands and taking them over. So like, they come around a corner, they hear somebody or something, they throw out these code words or something like that, these installations. And the code words they did, I kid you not, on purpose, they made the beginning of the code words a hard L.
Oh.
Because
so they had a hard time pronouncing it.
Yeah, because the Japanese have a really hard time with L's and R's.
Yeah.
And they did that on purpose. L's, and then if they came back pronouncing it with an R, in like a R sound, they would just automatically fire on the location. Pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of... Go ahead, Chess.
I want to piggyback on that. It's another tangent, sorry. But
yep, go for
it. With the L's and stuff. So my sister and I, we pick on each other all the time, but probably about 10 years ago or so, we go to lunch. We love Chinese food, so we go to a Chinese restaurant, we sit down, waitress comes over, Chinese lady, to order our food. And as my sister's ordering her food from this lady, she's sitting like this. Every time she says something, she bows. I'd like an egg roll. I'd like wonton soup. And she's actually talking like that. So, hello, please. Yes, please. And so I'm over there. When the lady leaves after we take the order, I lose it. I bust out laughing and I point out to her what she did. And then every time the waitress came back, she would do it again. Thank you, please. Thank you, please. So from that day to now, I'll call her on the phone. Every time I talk to her, it's, hello, please. Just making fun of her for her racism to Chinese people with just
I was not even thinking about it. Yeah, that's pretty terrible. Actually, that's
but
bad.
But you know what? I'll say this, that made me think of, I had a manager one time in a restaurant that I worked at that she thought that she was communicating better with the kitchen staff who were they were mostly Hispanic and where their first language was Spanish.
Sure.
And she thought that she genuinely thought that she was being a better communicator with them by saying stuff in English, but with a Hispanic, but with like a Mexican accent. And so like, maybe it was that. Maybe she just like really thought that she was being a better communicator by saying it in English, but
subconscious racism. That's all it is. Subconscious racism.
Good Lord. I will put this out there. That is not the case. So any of you guys out there listening, don't do that because that is racist as. So,
Real
next
bad.
News story. Here we go. Everybody's probably heard by now of the monoliths that first sprung up in Utah. It was discovered by a helicopter pilot, but then started appearing all over the world, actually. Well, only one place outside of the continental U.S., Romania, but came up in... where else? California, one in Texas, I believe. Well, anyways, that's been solved now. So a group of artists, or a community of artists, known as the most famous artist, posted a photo of Monolith on their Instagram account. It was in Joshua Tree National Park. It had the whatever text underneath said, "Another monolith outside of Joshua Tree? That makes 4. What does it mean?" So the mystery has been solved. It was weird because they started popping up all over the place, but they also posted a website. It is monolithataservice.com, but that is monolith-at-a-service.com, where they sell them for $45,000. I guess they're just trying to capitalize on all the attention they've been getting, but there you go. So it has been solved. It wasn't aliens. They even made fun of people that thought it might be aliens. So everyone out there thinking it was aliens, it wasn't. I thought it was a funny, good story.
Well, hold on. But we had that Google Earth picture from like 4 years ago where that monolith was there.
Yeah.
Are they really just that freaking dedicated?
Apparently,
Did they really drop it 4 years ago? And
maybe that was.
From
they
what
just
I've
waited for somebody to find it so they could drop some more.
Hey, stuff like that happens all the time. There's that guy that I can't remember his name that hid the treasure out in like the West. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but it was supposed to be like $1 million worth of things that he'd collected, like gold and precious gems and things like that. And he wrote a poem that was basically like a treasure map with words to for how to find this treasure. And it took years. Someone finally, I guess, just found it within the past like year or so. But there were like groups of people on Facebook that were bouncing ideas off each other while trying to hoard their own really good ideas, trying to get information. But yeah, so people are willing to let things just ride for a very long time. Maybe they did it just to see how long it would take for someone to find it. And then once it did and it blew up, they're like, well, damn, this is free marketing.
I wonder how many they sold.
I think this was just a 2020 version of Pet Rock.
Yeah, it could be.
My Pet Monolith.
We're gonna make guys, I've got a great idea. Let's just get people to buy poles, like big metal poles. No. We'll make them a 3-sided reflective pole. But dude, nobody's going to want that crap. Yeah, but if we put one out in the desert and make half the people think that it's an alien spaceship or something.
They won't want it now, but maybe 3 years from now when they find it in the desert, who knows? Maybe there'll be a 2001 A Space Odyssey remake around that time and it will be super popular. I don't know.
Plus, I got a feeling that 2020 is going to be a really crazy freaking year. So
yeah, I just have a hunch because, it's like 20 and then another 20, and I don't have anything against 20. I didn't really have much fun when I turned 20. I got really hammered and I passed out in a gut. We won't get into that, but who knows? But anyways, moving on.
It sounds like they just did some crystal meth like 4 or 5 years ago, and they're just now starting to come down from it.
Could be.
They're just out there.
Yeah, well, could be. So, pro gamers. This is something I'm extremely jealous of because there's a lot of people out there making a significant amount of money off of gaming, which my parents always said, get off those video games and make something of yourself. And I wish they'd told me, stay on those video games and make something of yourself. But anyways, one of these gamers, actually, who's called the Controller Pro because he plays on consoles instead of PC, Issa, recently quit because of a persistent hand injury. Apparently, he was in a car accident a little while ago, and he has like really bad carpal tunnel or something like that. So when he's playing on the controllers, it just, which sucks because you're a pro gamer and you have to quit due to an injury. I mean, that's something you hear about in like pro contact sports, not gaming. So
right. Yeah. Well, and what good is there for a one-handed surgeon? What good is it for a professional gamer?
He needs a power glove.
Hands. Yeah.
Well, think about it. That's actually like considered a sport now.
Yeah.
Think of how laughable it is for you to say, it's like, I hurt myself playing video games. I hurt myself. That's actually a common thing now. Mm-hmm. Gamers all the time, that you find them wearing braces and stuff because they spend so much time, doing that or doing this. They wind up with their shoulders in a sling or something like that.
Right. It's insane. It's really insane.
The whole esports world is blown up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All I gotta say about this dude, Pro Issa is his name.
Yeah,
Pro
Issa is his name.
Yo, Issa. Tough break, dude. There's always Dance Dance Revolution.
That's true. You know,
Dude.
that's true.
Well,
they probably make foot controllers.
Get on it, Broseph.
Yeah, kill it, man.
Well, here, I pulled this up because I saw that too. Since September of 2018, this dude has racked in $115,000 from Fortnite tournaments.
Damn. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's like he shows up his first tournament, he got 10th. You know, he got $3,700. He's just like, yeah, I could do this. You know, a month later, goes to another tournament. He got 4th. Yeah, he got $5,000. Then he entered the Winter Royale series. The Fortnite, that's a huge ordeal. Anyway, he got 4th in that, but he got $35,000 for that.
Damn.
Next thing you know, he signs with one of these teams. That's the other thing. It's like there's all these teams out there now, and they all have their own, you know, YouTube channel. Like he goes by GhostIssa, or went by Ghost
Oh, there you go.
Issa,
Yeah.
or whatever. But that was his team, Ghost, and everybody that signed with him is Ghost and whatever their tag is. But that's their thing. You know, they're on Twitch, they're on YouTube, and they post all these videos of people, you know, of them playing the game, and then people watch them play the game.
Streaming's huge right now.
It's
Mm-hmm.
insane.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know?
There's people, they're making like significantly badass careers out of just streaming gaming. So yeah, pretty sweet.
Like, there's people in 5 years that have made $7 million.
Holy hell!
Yeah,
Like,
My
no joke.
God.
It's crazy.
That is just from tournaments?
Ridiculous.
Just from tournaments.
That's insanity.
And playing video games.
Damn. Oh, it hurts hearing that. I could have been there. I was awesome at Mario Kart.
I was awesome at Halo.
Smash Brothers. I
Halo
used to throw down.
Oh yeah,
Halo.
Super Smash.
They
all that.
actually, you should look into that, Paris. They're actually still having Smash Brothers tournaments.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's been a long time since I've played it though. I played it on what was it? Was it GameCube? I think GameCube was my favorite version of it that I played. And yeah, I could throw down on that.
Well, the other thing is that, and I still like playing video games from time to time, but there's so many like new games that are out that I just haven't even played yet, that they're probably having tournaments, and games that are probably due to come out that are going to be a whole different, you know, field, because I know people specialize in certain games or gaming styles. So you'd really have to like go through some basic training to get there, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like one of the biggest games. I mean, Fortnite's huge. You know,
Of course,
it's
yeah.
huge worldwide. But one of the biggest games over the last several, 5-10 years or so has been The Witcher. You know, The Witcher 3 that came out.
Yeah.
You know, that's huge. I mean, they just turned it into a big TV series.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that was a good series.
Yeah, you got Henry Cavill on it, and you got what's his name, Khal Drogo.
Yep.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
He signed on for season 2. That's going to be
Yeah.
fun. But like, you know, Cyberpunk, that's coming out. And
wait, so what's going on with Cyberpunk? Because you talked about that to me before off video, and I thought, like, I saw a trailer for that. It's got to have been almost a year ago now. Did it come out and there's another one coming out, or what's the deal?
that game is being made by the same people that made The Witcher.
Okay.
CD Projekt Red. These guys are extremely meticulous about the product they put out and what they're doing and how they do it.
Mm-hmm.
This game has been in development since 2012.
What?
Yeah. I don't know if you've played The Witcher or not, but as big and as massive as that open world RPG was, this is like 10 times the scale of that.
It looks awesome. I gotta say, it looks like really good.
Be massive, but
yeah.
To answer your question, no, it has not come out. It started at the E3 convention in 2018. They released a demo for it, a playable demo at the convention only.
Okay.
and it won every award they had. 2019, they did it again. It won every award they had, and it's finally coming out here in 4 days.
Hey, that'd be sweet. That'd be one I would look into. You know what's funny is I just thought of another game that I used to just crush people at. Mortal Kombat 2.
Yeah.
That's the best
Holy
game
hell.
ever.
I could destroy. And what was funny is I dated a girl one time. She had the gall to say, "Oh, I could beat you in Mortal Kombat 2." And I'm like, what? I don't think you know. I don't think you know who you're talking about or talking to here. I don't think you understand who I am. So I actually went. I got a Super Nintendo from a buddy that still had one. We plugged it in, and I beat the living hell out of her time after time after time with every character. I was like, pick a character you want me to beat. I don't care. Just, I mean, yeah. And I hadn't even played it in forever, years, 5-10 years. Yeah.
Speaking of which, they're actually doing a reboot. They're making another Mortal Kombat movie. It's supposed to come out.
Oh, really? See, I actually liked the original Mortal Kombat movie. A lot of people didn't, and I get why. It was kind of not really like following the story of the game so much, but I thought it was good. I liked it. Thought it was good.
It was a cool movie, but it's like the Joker. It shouldn't have been called the Joker. That shouldn't have been called Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a lot
They were
better
cool
than
movies in and of themselves, but the title.
I think you have to, with some of this stuff, like when you're talking about a comic or video game and translating that to the screen into something that people will take seriously, that's not like campy, but seems like, okay, well, in a real world, like this is something within the realm of possibility that I can wrap my head. My suspension of disbelief has not reached its breaking point with this. And so like you had that with like the Christian Bale Batman series, where certain things that Chris Nolan kind of changed around a little bit to make it like, Batman doesn't drive. It wouldn't make sense for him to drive, a supercar import with all of this crap on it and stuff like that. So it's an industrial, like military style combat tank-ish car, and so that's where they had the the tumbler, and so I think that there's some stuff like that they try and do. Sometimes they totally miss the mark, sometimes they nail it, like with the Dark Knight series, so maybe that's what they were doing with that.
The big problem back then, though, is that video game movies just weren't successful. I mean, think about the things that you saw. There was, like we talked about, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, which I love because it is so campy, but so JCVD with that American flag tattoo, that's the one I was going to say next. Double Dragon, which, hey, I will say that scene with Alyssa Milano climbing into that tunnel is still one of my favorites. But video game movies just weren't super successful. Actress. Look at Mario Brothers or Super Mario Brothers. That had nothing to do with the video games. But then again, how do you make a movie out of? I do too. I love the movie, but how do you make a movie out of that? It's kind of hard, right?
It started in 1999.
Okay,
that's when they started to kind of turn a page.
All right,
that was Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's comic book though versus video game,
right? But the Spider-Man video games were always the coolest video games of all the rules. But that's what started it. It was Spider-Man, and then came Resident Evil. The Resident Evil series was pretty solid. We need to look that up. Maybe we'll do an actual segment on video games turned to movies next time. But Resident Evil, was that the first successful video game movie franchise? Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Because the one that probably the biggest game of the late 90s and basically all of the 2000s was Halo. Oh, you know, and they've been, Peter Jackson signed on to produce it. Xbox. Yeah, Peter Jackson signed on to produce it, direct it. They've a million scripts and all this, and they never could get the movie made. Well, finally, Showtime just now decided it's like, oh, screw it, we're going to make a TV show.
Oh.
Well, did you guys see? I'll sign up for Showtime to freaking get that. I'll give it a look. But did you guys see the Halo Forward Until Dawn mini movie.
Yes.
So I thought that when that first came out, when I first saw that, I thought that it was just like an extended trailer or something for a full-length movie they were doing.
Mhm.
And I don't know if they were trying to put out the feelers for that or what, but I was like, dude, this is
It was good.
Yeah, there's been some pretty decent like shorts that they've done. Yeah, absolutely.
But the style animation that was, I don't mean to cut you off, but
no, go for it.
Another really good video game movie they made was the Final Fantasy movie, like that. I don't remember what it was called. Like I want to say Advent something. Yeah,
Advent Children or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but it was
something
that style. But that movie was actually really good.
Yeah, I thought it was a decent flick, but
Forward Into Dawn was much better. Yeah, I was like you. It's like I sat down, I hit play on it. It was on like YouTube or something when I watched it, and I thought it was just like a trailer or something, you know. So here I am.
The Spirit Within.
Oh, The Spirit Within. That's right. What was Advent Children? What was I thinking of? Whatever. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, The Spirits Within. It was all right. You know, it was all right.
Yeah.
But it's like, I got like 20 minutes in and went, okay, this isn't a trailer.
Yeah.
It's
no
like,
kidding.
oh yeah, there's like 45 minutes left. I'm committed now.
Well, one thing that we can all count on with these upcoming TV shows and movies that we're looking forward to see how they come up. One thing that we can always count on is that the sun will rise in the east, and that Chaz will provide spoilers before 99% of us can watch them. So stick around for that, folks.
Yeah. Well, hey, anyone coming to YouTube for any content related to things coming out or things that just come out, that kind of comes along with the territory, in my opinion. You know, if you want to save yourself from spoilers, you got to disconnect from social media. That's just all there is to it. Like, for example, when season finales of like Game of Thrones, for example, came out, but I hadn't had a chance to watch them yet, or anything like that.
You just got to go dark.
Disconnect. I don't even want to risk seeing a story or a comment or anything like that.
It's worse than that, because like when there's a movie that I really, really want to see, I won't even watch trailers for it.
Okay.
I don't want to know, because trailers these days give so much of the plot.
It tells you the whole story.
Yeah, it's why would you even watch it?
Yeah. Well, anyways, Halo kind of is a good segue into another topic that I wanted to bring up, and this is something that I kind of want to make a weekly segment. Good guy with a gun. Now, I don't want to get political with this show. We all don't want to get political with the show, but there's one thing that we can say. We support the Second Amendment. We support firearms ownership. We support people being able to defend themselves from all enemies, foreign, domestic, all that stuff. So, with that said, the story I'm going to bring up right now is this just happened recently, a few days ago. A woman shoots and kills ex-boyfriend who was trying to break into her apartment. So this woman had broken up with a guy. He obviously, couldn't take it or whatever. The investigation is still pending, so, who knows with any of that. But he came to her house uninvited, apparently, broke in through the sliding door, and she shot him because he was breaking into her house when she didn't want him around, and she's a woman, he's a man, and we all know how that dynamic goes. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because ex-boyfriends turning stalkers, turning murderers. I'm a huge fan of true crime, and that is a theme that comes up all too often. So I thought this was a good story, and it reminded me of a story that I heard out of the UK about Alice Ruggles. She's a 24-year-old girl from the UK. She was dating a Lance Corporal that was based in Edinburgh, I guess. Caught him screwing around behind her back on Tinder, broke up with him, dumped him. He couldn't handle it, apparently. He, first would call her all the time, text her all the time, try and show up. She called the police, actually, at the behest of her friends, who said, you really probably should make a report of this or try and do something. So called the police and got a protection order against him. So He shows up again. She calls the police and says, hey, I have a protection order against my ex, and he just showed up again. And the woman on the line says, well, what do you want us to do about it? So after that, the guy broke into her house, forced her into the bathroom, and slit her throat 6 times with a knife and killed her. It's terrible. So
Terrible, man. Jeez.
That's not something that happened to this woman from this week's Good Guy with a Gun segment.
Thank God.
Restraining orders are a great thing. It's a good thing if you have someone that's harassing you. The thing is, though, is that for a restraining order to work, you have to call the police to come and intervene if the person shows up where they're not supposed to be or is doing something they're not supposed to do. And when seconds matter, as we all know, the police are only minutes away. Yep. So, over in the UK, it's too bad that they don't have something that they could, defend themselves with. I can't really think of anything, but it's unfortunate that it's just unfortunate. It's an unfortunate thing, but I'm glad that this woman was able to defend herself because of the Second Amendment. So, Parrish, we found a cool little carbine thing, actually, that you brought to the table. You want to talk about that a little bit? Speaking of firearms.
Actually, Chaz sent me this. Link to this really cool little toy. As you guys know that have watched our previous episodes, I'm a big 1911 fan. Cut my teeth on it. My everyday carry, or EDC, is a Springfield XDS 45. Not really. Someone just gave me this gun to show it off to you guys and plug it. So that's what I'm doing. I don't believe in guns. They scare me. But I'm a big fan of this sweet little round called 45 ACP. And that's kind of my jam. So Chaz sent me this link to a nice little tool called a Mech Carbine upper for 1911 pistols. And so what's really exciting about this is, the 1911 is called such because it was issued in 1911. It is an old gun, 109-year-old gun, or design. John Moses Browning gave guns style with the 1911. Still, I believe, one of the sexiest pistols.
Saint Browning is how we refer to it. Yeah, right.
My apologies. Yeah. And still, I believe, the sexiest pistol out there.
They're nice guns.
And on this hill, I will die. So this Mech Carbine, what's cool about it is this guy who lives and hunts up in, I believe it's like the Montana area, Pacific Northwest, maybe, where, the game is large and so are the predators. You've got grizzlies and black bears that are,
a threat.
A threat.
They're around. Yes.
Yeah, when you're on the ground, when you're dressing a deer and you got blood all over you or whatever in the field, it can be really bad. And so a lot of guys, they have their hunting rifle that it's made for precision and not speed, and then they'll have a sidearm of some sort for large predators that may come upon them while they're hunting to protect their lives. And so popular rounds have gained popularity and are kind of the norm for that. 10 millimeter is a big one, maybe the biggest one today. 44 Magnum. These big, huge, nasty rounds that are made for bears, like big cats.
Big, huge, nasty pistol rounds. We'll say that.
Right. Big, nasty pistol rounds. Yeah.
Right.
For somebody carrying their sidearms. So what this guy thought, though, was, well, I don't have one of those, and I don't really have the money to get a Desert Eagle or a Dirty Harry gun or whatever, and I want more rounds than a wheel gun.
Sure.
So he said, but I do have this 1911. I think it was a Rock River Arms that the guy was talking about in this article, and he found this upper, and he was the great thing about it is the longer your barrel is, the more muzzle velocity you can achieve with uh, with the round that you're shooting through it. So
yeah, and for people that aren't gun savvy, that's just because it's more time that the gas pressure from the propellant has to push that bullet forward. A little short barrel, it's going to come out quick. The gas pressure is going to be wasted. It makes a boom, whatever. But a longer barrel gives it more dwell time inside to speed
that bullet out. So, for example, this is a 3.3-inch barrel. It's very small, and this is actually a very accurate pistol for such a small barrel. But if you can extend that out from pistol length, even a full-size 1911, which is like 5 inches, if you can extend that out to, say, 14 or 16 inches, then you can radically change the muzzle velocity on that bullet. So we're talking with your typical 1911, I believe, is in it's a slow bullet. It's a big bullet, but it's a slow bullet, and that's the problem with that. So we're talking I forget where it was in this thing, but you're talking like, I believe it's like 600 feet per second.
Now, I think 45, if I'm correct, I think is somewhere around like the 1,000 feet per second mark, something like that. Because I think in the speed of sound around 1,200 or around there, or something like that. So they're subsonic, something like that.
742.
Oh, there you go. So
what is it?
Sorry, 742.
742. That's what I got. Yeah. So it was like 742 out of your typical 45, but this is an upper, and it looks kind of like an AR-15, and basically what it does is you've
767. All right.
767. Okay. You've got your upper clear. Okay. You've got your upper that basically this slide comes off, and the upper just connects on as if it was a slide. It replaces this, but the upper looks like an AR-15. So what you end up having is from here down looks like it's your 45, and you're holding it there, but then you've got a rifle upper, and what that does is it takes that 45 ACP bullet and makes it go from that 700 some odd feet per second.
I'm just going to throw this out there. I pulled up the ballistics. Yeah, you were talking the speed of sound, Chaz, or are you talking 45
speed of
velocity?
Sound.
Is 700 something feet per second? 775 feet per second?
767 miles an hour.
Yeah, miles an hour, right? Because feet per second, it's around like, I want to say 1,200 around there. Because the 45 is, it's like
1125,
830 at the low end. Okay, there you go. Yeah, so it's like 830 at the low end. It depends on bullet weight, obviously, but 835 to like a little over 1,000, unless you're going plus P, which is a little bit higher. But yeah, I thought it was right around 1,000 for 45. I just wanted to throw that out. Anyways.
Hold on, I have a couple questions before we
Let's hear it, Chaz.
Before we get, because again, I'm gun-tarded here.
Hold on. The last little bit of this, basically that longer barrel, the reason that the guy was pushing this was because that longer barrel turns a 45 ACP round with the same, it makes it the same amount of energy as, or roughly the same amount of energy as a 10 millimeter or a 44 Magnum.
Oh, damn.
That's the key.
That's a
what
lot.
That's all about. Sorry, Chaz, go ahead, man.
So that's kind of what I was getting at. So it's like you got this thing that basically you replace the whole upper section of your gun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Looks like like you said, an AR-15. Does it change the mechanics? Is it like does it turn into like a big massive machine gun, or?
So first of all, let's define our terms. So a machine gun, it doesn't turn it into a machine gun. A machine gun is fully automatic. That means you pull the trigger one time and it keeps going ba 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 ba. Okay.
Yeah.
A semi-automatic is it shoots as fast as you can pull the trigger.
Right.
So it's still a semi-automatic. It's not technically an AR-15 platform, but it's very similar. Okay. So
well, let's just say similar in terms of it being like a rifle technically now, because completely different otherwise.
Yeah, it's not an AR-15 platform, but to look at it, to the uninitiated, it probably would look a lot like one, and it turns it into a rifle with a buttstock, an AR-15 buttstock, and a buffer tube, I believe, and a Picatinny rail on top to mount your optics and stuff. So I mean, yeah. So it's like we're kind of getting to there, but if you're asking Chaz what the point of it is to get the longer the barrel, then the longer your sights can be, the further apart your sights can be, and the longer the barrel, the more accurate it's going to be over distance, and like we said, muzzle velocity and energy.
That just makes it go farther.
Farther, faster, hit harder.
Right.
Out of the same bullet.
Yeah, and what I was going to say was, like, what's the point? Because there's so many sub-guns out there, and sub-guns, for everyone that doesn't know, is a submachine gun, but one that's only semi-automatic, something that we can actually buy, that are 45, but they're in the range of $1,000 plus for most of them, and I just saw somewhere that this was like, what, $300, $400. So if you already have a 1911 kicking around and you kind of want a subgun, you want the additional barrel length for higher velocity, you want to be able to mount optics to it, you want something that's a little bit more, user friendly for that type of thing, then yeah, I get it. I think that's kind of a cool thing. It's cool to see something like that for a 1911, because you see like the micro Ronies for like Glocks and all the plastic fantastic whatever pistols out there, but not too much for the 1911. So that's cool. Good for them.
I guess it's neat, but I guess I just failed to see it.
It turns this 1911 that is basically just a wall hanger for me, because it's too heavy for me to carry and stuff. I can't justify that. Turns that into something that's useful again. We're making 1911s great again, boys.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
So, you got any while you're on your tangents here, you got any more fun EMS stories for us?
Yes,
buddy?
let's do EMS.
So EMS stories. Yeah, well, I mean, if we're gonna make this like a thing, we might as well start from the beginning, right? Every hero needs an origin story, and then every once in a while, much like the Joker, every villain needs an origins, and a villain gets an origin story too. And so that's where I come in.
Absolutely, origin stories are all the rage right now. So let's do it.
Let's do it.
And he opens it.
So there wasn't any fanfare or anything like that when I first got my paramedic card. So for those that don't know, the difference between there are three main levels, really two main levels, but there's a third one in there. There's a EMT, emergency medical technician, EMT basic, which means you can do the basic life support stuff. Most of your firemen are EMT basics, and some police are.
I thought an EMT was an emergency medical trainee.
No, technician.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. So
EMT is emergency medical technician. Your EMT basic is the most basic level. And then everybody gets their EMT basic first. And then you can go from there to EMTI, which is intermediate. And they can do a few more things than the basic can. But then the top is the EMT paramedic. Okay. You can call them EMTPs, EMT paramedics. They're also technically EMTs, but they are paramedics, and that's how. And so most people we just call them paramedics to differentiate them.
Let's just throw this out there really quick. Also, if there's any EMTs or paramedics that they're out there watching, throw that down in the comments. Parrish would love to talk to you. It's been a little while since he's been a paramedic, but hey, you guys can share stories or.
About to say you may have a story that he could share.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jump in and comment and tell me all the crap that I'm saying wrong, because it's been a little while. It's been a couple of years. So you feel free to sit. And that's one thing we love to do, is tell everybody about the flaws that they make and the mistakes that they make. Well, actually, the correct way to blah, blah, blah. Shut up. No, please do. Please mention. So anyway, when I first there wasn't any fanfare when I went from EMT basic to paramedic. I got my paramedic certification, my NREMT, National Registry of EMTs, paramedic level certification. That came in the mail. I got my card, took it up to our headquarters on a day that I was working, a BLS transport truck. That's basic life support. So basically a BLS transport truck doesn't run 911 calls. All they do is take patients from place to place. So like a patient who can't drive from the hospital home or from the hospital to a nursing home, we'll take them there. Tater-toting, we called it. So basically, I just went up to headquarters on a day that I was working the transport truck, and I filled out some paperwork. They scanned my card. We were good. And then I went back to the station to work.
Okay.
And they said, okay, so you're technically an ALS truck now, advanced life support, because I was technically a paramedic at that point. We went several hours the rest of the day into the afternoon. And I was like, well, I guess we had run a bunch of transports. And I was like, well, I guess maybe they're waiting till next shift when I'll be with a paramedic. I was with this guy who was EMT basic, who was good. He was good at what he did and stuff, but I was alone. I was the only paramedic on our squad. So anyway, we get to the station, all this stuff. All of a sudden, the tones drop, and we got a 911 call. Freaking seizures. So-and-so address. Here we go. So the patient's on the ground having a seizure. And all right, so I'm like, this is my first 911 call. I have a basic with me, not another paramedic. I'm the only person who's going to be on scene.
Damn, trial by fire, dude.
By fire, bro. Usually they start us on paramedic, a veteran paramedic.
Yeah, no kidding. Anyway,
yeah. So disaster ensues. So they gave us the address. They said it was in front of this church at so-and-so address. We get there. We don't see anybody. They're like, well, that's where they said it was. And like, okay, well, let's park. So we park in this alleyway next to the church. And we go to the exact point, like the front doors of the church, where they said that this person was on the sidewalk having a seizure on the ground. Nothing. No crowd. Nobody. I'm not seeing anybody. Well, let's pull out our cot, which is, the stretcher. We call it a cot. We pull out the cot, monitor, first out bag, oxygen tank. We got 300 pounds worth of EMS equipment on this cot that we're rolling over there. And I don't see, okay, well, let's check the other entrance. And so we go down further down the street in front of this church. Busy traffic area, by the way. So there's just like people going near past us the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm rolling this cot with all this equipment down in front of this church. Nobody. Go past the church. Nobody. Maybe they meant the business next door. So I go to we're rolling this thing, my partner and me, to the business next door. Nobody. We went 300 yards and 2 city blocks and saw no one. We're standing on the corner with all of our crap. The ambulance with its lights on, we can't even see it anymore. We're too far away from it. It's like around the corner, 2 blocks down the freaking road. I'm like, I don't know. So I go back to dispatch. I'm like, there's nobody here. I don't see anybody. And they're like, they say that they're there. And then all of a sudden, my partner looks over to the left around this corner or whatever on this at the street corner, and he's like, oh, there they are. And we see we see him over there. There's a couple cops. There's a police car there. And it's like, and it's halfway down the next block.
Jeez.
So, okay, so we roll up there. I'm like, okay, so, and I had to explain this to my wife too when I told her about it. Like, why couldn't we just go back and get the truck? Okay, well, if someone's seizing and they're not breathing,
you got your gear.
And I've got my gear right here. It's going to look really bad and be really bad if I run back to the truck. And it's going to take, hold on just a second.
Don't die yet.
Yeah, don't die yet. I'm going to go grab my truck. So we just run over to the patient. At this point, it's like 300 plus yards away. First thing we do, we get over there and the cop says, one of the cops was there. He's like, dude, where's your truck? I said, by the way, we call it ambulance truck where I was at. Some services, they call it a rig, whatever. I don't know. We call it a truck. And he says, where's your truck? And I was like, dude, it's like way down there on the other side of that church down there. And he's like, why did you park down there? I was like, we're not even getting into it. And he's like, okay, well, don't worry about it. I'll go get it. And so a cop comes to get, and I was thinking at the time, I was like, man, when he comes back, I got a good one. I was like, I was going to ask him if the valet service was complimentary, but I was like, you know what? Don't get cocky. Don't get cocky. This is your first call. You don't need the cops to be pissed off at you, because you said something snide or snooty or whatever.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want.
Right.
Especially when you come walking up to the...
Yeah, right. From freaking, no, well, that's the last time I help you out.
Yeah.
So anyway, I at this point, I still haven't seen or touched the patient yet, but I already got embarrassment number 1 out of the way. So there were 3 homeless people who were obvious drug addicts standing there. Well, there was 2 of them standing there. One of them was laying on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It was the woman laying on the ground seizing was I thought that she was pregnant at first, and I found out later that she was she wasn't pregnant.
Yeah. That's good enough. Yeah.
Let's say that. There was a guy standing he was walking in like figure eights, right? And his eyes like up in the back of his head's not just talking, just like out of his head. He was high. And then there was another woman there who, let's see, she was very butch. Her head was shaved bald, and she had a big neck tattoo that almost completely covered up the needle punctures in her external jugular vein.
Okay.
From her usage. Okay. There was a bunch of trash bags too, like black trash bags that were just full of stuff, and I found out that they were all there. I don't know what the dynamic was with these 3. The guy and the girl who was seizing were fiancés.
Oh,
I guess, according to them. I don't know how the other women played into this little triad, but they had like 5 big trash, like lawn leaf trash bags, and they were full of like all their worldly possessions, and they stunk really bad. And the reason is that they got kicked out of the city mission down the road, and they didn't have anywhere to go, but they couldn't like leave their stuff in Tent City, which is this area in the woods of the city.
Sure.
That's kind of off the beaten path because people would just steal other stuff, so they had to carry it with them everywhere they went. So the guy's going on and on. You got to help her. You got to help her. The whole time he was talking about, you got to give her something. Like he wanted us to give this lady drugs so bad. I found out, she definitely did have a seizure. She was postictal, which means when you come out of a seizure, you have this like really weird kind of a fugue state where you you don't remember things, you don't know who people are, and it can last
kind of like short circuiting.
Yeah. And so that can last a few minutes. It can last like 15 or 30 minutes sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And So she was postictal. So I felt good about that. Okay, she's had a seizure, and we found out, along the way that she had been in withdrawal for 3 days, and so heroin withdrawal for 3 days. So they were likely seizures from her withdrawal. So we put her on the truck, or not the truck. We put her on the cot while we're waiting for the truck to be delivered to us by the policeman. It's a 5-point harness that we use. The reason we do that is because it's very secure for the patient. There's one strap across their legs, one strap across their feet, thighs, waist, and then 2 that come over their shoulders. So five straps. And the reason we do that is so that even if the truck, it makes them very secure. So if even the truck flips over, the patient will just hang upside down from this cot because side, and it's a safety thing. A lot of guys cut and they don't put all the straps on the patient, but I'm here to tell you, buddy.
Parrish knows how to put a strap on.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey-o!
All 5. We got all 5 of them on her, and I'm very glad that we did that because, and here's where I'm gonna just go ahead and reference my journal, my handy dandy notebook. So, let me see.
Don't keep us in suspense, Parrish.
Thank God we used 5 straps. We lifted the patient up with the cot and started wheeling her girth to the truck. My partner was just about to pull the front wheels over the edge of the sidewalk when, like Providence, like Alanis Morissette's definition of irony, like the luck that seems to always kick me in the teeth at the most inopportune time just to remind me it's still there, his shoelaces get caught in the wire lining around a flower bed at the edge of the sidewalk. The thing is, the more he tried to pull his foot away from the wire, the more entangled his foot became in the wire. The next few seconds occurred over the course of several minutes as time slowed to a near stop. My partner stumbled, letting go of the front of the cot. One of the cot's wheels went over the edge of the sidewalk, one of the 4 wheels, tipping it and our postictal pincushion over to the asphalt. I just stood there for a second, which was still slowed down to several minutes before I snapped out of it. I'm sure I stuttered a few choice words in those moments that I don't remember and that my mother wouldn't be proud of, but I regained my composure and made sure that the patient wasn't hurt. So basically what happened was, one wheel went over the edge of the sidewalk, and I couldn't ride it because the thing is, all the weight, which was substantial, was on the top of the cot, the patient's weight. And so once it goes over, it's just going to go over to the side.
Yeah. So speaking of cringe moments that you'll remember forever down the road, go ahead and put them in the comments down below if you ever had a EMS cringe moment where you had knocked somebody over because their shoelace was entangled in some plant wiring.
So, and I mean, the rest of the call went okay, but I was like, I'm going to get fired. She was okay. She was fine. She was just like, oh, when we went over. So we picked her up, made sure she was okay. We got her to the hospital. She was good. Her fiance sat in the front seat and slept the entire way.
Oh, good for him.
And so all was good, but I was sure that I was going to lose my paramedic card after that. After my first call as a paramedic,
and you face planted a patient. Good job.
Face planted that patient. It was fun.
Using strap-ons and face plants. One hell of a time.
While I was searching for an IV, right? So the most common place is your AC vein, antecubital vein. While I was searching for an IV, I mean, it was perforated. It was like paper. It was like perforated paper with all the needle punctures going up her vein, and she offered to start the IV for me.
Oh.
I didn't let her. I was like,
Yeah, I was gonna
no,
say, I don't think you can, even though she probably could do a better job because
better job.
Yeah.
So that was very fun, interesting, horrifying at the time, and afterwards, now I can laugh about it. So good times.
Yeah,
So,
awesome.
Did the cop have anything to say when he brought you the truck? Did the cop have anything to say?
Oh yeah, he brought the truck right. I mean, he was pulling up right as this happened, so he got like front, right, just a perfect view of the whole event. And it was, I think that they were just like, oh, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, who are these guys? Who the hell did they send us? This isn't even the B team. This is like the Z team.
Is this your first day or something? Yes.
Yeah, thanks for noticing. Well, I think that's been a show, guys. What do you say?
Yeah, sounds good. Good fun.
Cool. Well, everybody out there, remember to subscribe, like, put some comments down there. We'd love to hear from you, and hit that notification bell because it'll alert you to whenever we post some new content. So we'll see you next time on the Omega Dudes. Peace.
Yeah.